It is a sad day for Beliebers. Retired pop star Justin Bieber was arrested in Miami Beach early this morning on charges of drunk driving and drag racing. According to police spokesperson Bobby Hernandez, the singer's entourage used their cars to block off traffic and create a drag strip for Bieber to speed. According to Miami Beach Police Chief Raymond Martinez, tests showed that Bieber was under the influence of drugs. And cops say that at the time of the arrest, the 19-year-old was incoherent but resisted arrest without violence. Spokesperson Hernandez went on to say of Bieber, quote, "Kid needs help." Bieber, who was in a rented Lamborghini shown here in this Instagram photo, was pulled over in the area along with another car, which he was allegedly drag racing with. The driver in the other car, identified as Bieber's friend Khalil, was also arrested, according to police. The Miami Beach police tweeted confirmation of Bieber's arrest early this morning, saying, quote, "Breaking news. Justin Bieber has been arrested for DUI and drag racing. More info and press release coming." Kind of astonishing that they actually tweeted that at Justin Bieber. Joining me now to discuss this is HuffPost Associate Entertainment Editor Lauren Duca. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
So what is the latest here? Where is Bieber in the whole process?
Right. So he's actually still being held at this time. So I think they're looking to see what exactly the charges will be. According to the Miami Herald, who broke the story, he told police that he was he'd been drinking a beer, he'd been smoking pot all day, and he'd taken anti-depressants. So it seems like there will certainly be a DUI in this instance. He also didn't have his license on him, and he resisted arrest, although non-violently. I'm sure there will be something involving that as well in the final charges.
And according to the police report, just to be clear, he had an expired license. I think it expired in June of 2013, right. And it was a Georgia license. So there were a lot of things going wrong here. I have a tweet pulled up here from NBC6 South Florida of here's at Justin Bieber arriving at Miami-Dade jail. Of course, the press is kind of going crazy with all of this, and the police are being pretty helpful. I have another tweet here. The police went on to tweet a few hours after the arrest. They tweeted, "A forms for Justin Bieber and at Crazy Khalil are forthcoming. We will not have mugshots until they are processed via Miami-Dade County Corrections." For you covering these kinds of stories, are you surprised at how open the police are being with Bieber's status?
Sure. No, no, because honestly, with him specifically, this kind of behavior is expected, and he's been getting in trouble with the law repeatedly. Just this month alone, he had accusations of egging his neighbor's house, and he's constantly, dealing with the police. I feel like almost it's in their favor to be open and transparent, because there's so much speculation and there's so much involvement from his PR team and attempts to cover it up, and things quickly become very obscured. So for them to be open and very transparent with all the information kind of disallows him to do that preeminently, because there's certainly been cases in the past where it's become murky very quickly.
And of course, because this is in Florida's media access is very, very open. We saw that most recently with the George Zimmerman case. All of those documents were open, so it's not too surprising. The tweets are a little surprising to me.
Right.
But the police in Miami recently just addressed Bieber's arrest in a press conference, and let's take a listen.
Another officer was able to stop Mr. Bieber, and upon approaching the car, when he opened up the window and confronted Mr. Bieber, he smelled a strong odor of alcoholic beverage. Mr. Bieber at that point was not cooperating with the officer's instructions. The officer asked him to exit the vehicle. He was questioning why he was being stopped. Ultimately, he eventually did step out of the vehicle, would not follow the officer's instructions. The officer at that time did place Mr. Bieber under arrest for resisting without violence, for not following his instructions. He felt at that time that Mr. Bieber may have been impaired. He was brought to the Miami Beach Police Station, where a DUI investigation was conducted. It was determined that he was impaired. During the investigation, Mr. Bieber made statements that he had consumed some alcohol and that he had been smoking marijuana and consumed some prescription medication.
So here we have the police sort of walking us through that Bieber did allegedly admit doing some of the things that he was arrested for. And that's a little surprising because if you look at the police report, he initially denied all of this, saying to the police officer something along the lines of, I wasn't drinking, I was shooting, I was at the recording studio, obviously, after he failed the sobriety test, which I think was delivered in the station. Clearly, he had changed his story. So, can you sort of walk us through what happened? I'm sure you've taken a look at all of the reports. So he was pulled over for drag racing, and then it sort of progressed from there?
That's what it sounds like. I think that he's actually been drag racing in the past. I don't know if there have been any charges, but he's definitely he's been drag racing on residential streets. I mean, I think in the past it's been skewed as his neighbors claiming he'd been driving super fast, maybe not using the term drag racing. So I know that in the Miami Herald it said that police were their attention was drawn to it because it was particularly cold night for Miami, so they could actually hear the tires, screeching on, I think it was like Pine Tree Avenue or something in Miami. So they quickly were able to locate that something like this was going on. And then he, I think, was, keeping his hands in his pockets and kind of like passively refusing arrest.
Yeah, I read that in the police report that both of the vehicles in question here were going about 55 to 60 in a 30 residential area. And the passively resisting arrest was because he had his hands in his pocket. And in the police report, the officer said that he feared for a weapon, to which Bieber said he didn't have one, and once he had his hands on the hood of his car, kept pulling them off, and that's when the arrest happened. But I just want to quickly draw our attention to my computer right here. We have the in-custody inmate information. This was just updated about a minute ago. Justin Bieber is officially processed into the Miami-Dade County Correctionals. It has his cases as his charges as resisting officer without violence to his person, driving under the influence, and driver license expired 6 months and or after. The bond is currently set at $1,000 each for the driving under the influence and resisting the officer, and $500 for the expired license. So currently he's only being held at about $2,500. I think, for me, Lauren, I bet you he could probably pull that out of his pocket right now.
Yeah, I think he spent more than that at that strip club last week. He was spending like tens of thousands of dollars.
Like $75,000 in one. So he'll probably post his
he can just
bond
make
in
it rain, this bail, very easily.
Make it rain in there.